the names. Wake the room. Wake the room. Wake the room! Lou, Rex, Pam Ray, Naomi, Afasiana, Babbler, Monarch Soul, Jojo, Grey Eyes, fill my eyes. Poets assemble. No masks, no manners. Say it plain, or say it broken. Monday night in the garden of enlightenment. Low light lit minds, every line got intent. Clock ticks crooked and the room turns vigilant. Quiet so loud you can hear what the tension meant. Then it slips after midnight, manners get murdered. Nice little masks get cracked by a word or a murmur. Twisted Tuesdays twist truth till it turns on its heel. Clean cut faces go strange when the dark gets real. You can feel that shit, that slick little slip when the grin stays sweet, but the eyes don't sit. Like the room grew ribs, like the walls grew ears, like the hush got hands and it's pulling you near. And the words don't rest, they press. Put a heel on the chest, leave a dent in the breath. Every line like a knock from the back of the brain. Like you came in one shape, you won't leave the same. Late night poets, where the room leans in, where the sharp gets shown in the soft dough dim. Late night poets, hear the whole thing shift from a whispering the ribs to a line that lifts from the darkened edge of doubt to the pull you can't ignore. We don't just read the night, we make it something more. Say it plain, say it broken. Late night poets, Wednesday breaks, parts in the parts, ink down the spine, half halo, half hazard, both hands in the light in the yard. A seduction walks soft through the smoke, silk on the tongue with the blade in the joke. Books and bards wakes dust in the depth of the shelves. Old ghosts lean out and start naming themselves in a craft in Sullen. Not the ache, gets a voice, pain stands up straight and makes silence a choice. Then break on through when the devil gives way, when the masses sink but the pulse says pray. Echoes in the dark, go hunt the fear, that thing when no name starts ringing in your ear. Say it, say it. Fill my eyes with poetry, don't water it down. Let it bite, let it bloom, let it burn through the crowd. Bad company grins like a bruised dress smart, and rhythm and rhyme puts a boot through the heart. Late night poets, where the room leans in, where the sharp gets shown in the soft dome dim. Late night poets, hear the whole thing shift from a whisper in the ribs to a line that lifts from the darkened edge of doubt to the pull you can't ignore. We don't just read the night, we make it something more. Say it plain, say it broken. Late night poets, some come shattered, some come slick. Some speak honey with a blade in it. Some sound velvet, some sound wire. Some walk in low and take the room higher. Some come holy, some come liars. That's the thing! This ain't filler for the dead space, no. There's a pulse with a pen, this is blood with a nickel. This is breath with the backbone, ink with the crown. Live mics, live nerves, truth laid bare in the round. This is the beautiful mess, the bruise and the bloom. The line that cuts clean and makes a little room. Late souls, wide eyes, all nerve in the dark. A room full of hearts beating hard through the dark. Wake the room, wake the room. Late night poets, where the room leans in, where the sharp gets shown in the soft dim. and more. Late night poets, when the clock slips past polite, we tell the truth. L&P, we love you. Stay frosty.
Hello and welcome to In Our Craft or Sullen Art, the multifaceted world of words inked. Here we ponder and discuss poetry inspired by literary minds throughout history. I am Pam Ray, and with me is my co-host, Jojo, aka John. John and I are poets at a website called All Poetry with a group of poets called Late Night Poets. If you find tonight's show is not your cup of tea, please check out our other shows. We have 1 to 2 shows per night on a variety of styles, of topics, and poetry, something to suit everybody's taste. Also, make sure when you get a chance to check out the poetry anthologies put out by Late Night Poets, because when you purchase those, you not only get amazing poetry, you help support these radio shows. And hello, John. How's it going?
Hey, Pam. It's going all right. How are you?
I am all in all pretty good. I've been indoors all day because I am such a wimp about heat. I'm not stepping outside until the moon is risen and the sun is gone, and like all creatures of the night. And but well, not as hot as it was in yours or Jean's area or many other places in the world, but too hot for a Wisconsinite. I believe it reached up to about 80, 85 or something like that. It was, plus the humidity too. It just.
Yeah, I get it.
It
gets
to me.
Humidity.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little humid today here too. I mean, I love, like 97, 98 kind of range, but there was just enough humidity to make it a little bit uncomfortable.
Do you need to adjust your microphone or something, John? Because you sound farther away than you usually do.
Should I go out and come back?
I don't know. Like, you don't sound bad. You just sound quieter than usual. I mean, you can, but
let me check my audio settings. Hold on.
Sure, no problem. I'll just say hi to our listeners. First of all, hello to any of our listeners on YouTube and on StreamYard. I see Robbie. I see Monty. And yeah, that's who I see right now. So very good. I like seeing them. And hello there, gentlemen. And let's see. Nobody in Late Night Poets, but I do know that there's at least one person listening on YouTube. And well, I was just being hopeful there, Robbie. Thank you very much. But Robbie says you sound fine. I don't know. Maybe my ears are just clogged with sweat or something. Goodness only knows.
All right. Well, I did increase my microphone a little bit, so maybe.
Okay. Yeah. That does help a little. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to hanging out with you and other cool poets. We have a huge board tonight. I think we have like 28 on the board between the two contests, quality and quantity. We're going to start out with a few carryovers from Frank Bidart. And then we will, after that, go into the contest with quotes inspired by Anton Chekhov. And that contest itself, I think, ended up getting like 25 rights because we actually didn't do our last In Our Craft or Selling Art show because I wasn't feeling well. And so it had to be moved forward 2 weeks. And then I reopened up the contest and figured why not try to get a few more. And lo and behold, we got a few more. So
we did. It completely filled up to 25, I think, right?
It did. Yes. Yes. Completely filled up. And like even a few days ago, like it wasn't even a last minute fill up. It was, I think the contest has been closed for like 3 or 4 days or so. So, yep. Yep. So that's always good to see. But yeah, well, I guess we can go ahead whenever you're ready, John, and we can get this ball rolling.
All right. Well, first up is The Shapelessness Required to Make Love. And then 2 in parentheses by Ben Hart. You touch me, expecting the ease with which beetroot gives in to the knife, and my feet at once crave the cold of deep water to drape within the sleep of an eye unaware of its own end, and descend ever deeper beneath that stained glass window, black, because maybe drowning too is flight to the angel, tarred and feathered, refusing to surrender into a life of flesh. And if even the vegetables bleed when you peel them, what is left? And what am I but a goodbye left unsaid? A whale fall, a bloom with the tendrils of fleeting dreams. You touch me, expecting the ease with which a beetroot seed gives in to life, and I am gladly helpless against it. End poem.
Great read there, John. What an absolutely beautiful and captivating write by Ben Hart. I see he was inspired by prompt 2 in the contest. And let's see here. What was prompt 2? Prompt 2 was I have found another man in me. I think that was a somewhat popular one, if I remember. And I see he won. Yes, yes. And I see he won a well-deserved bronze. Amazing imagery and metaphors. I like how this speaks on a sense of communication without words. Perhaps a sense of feeling as if there's something stronger, something beautiful within you. I also like how, to me, there's this idea of a garden within the heart being willing to bloom once again. And I thought there were great lines throughout, but I did especially like you touch me, expecting the ease with which a beetroot seed gives into life, and I am gladly helpless against it. Like sometimes we just need that part of ourselves that says it's okay to heal, it's okay to grow. You don't have to stay stuck where you are. Excellent write by Ben Hart and very well done.
Yeah, speaking of the metaphor, what I really liked about, well, one of the things that I really liked about this is the use of the beetroot. So this prompt to me speaks of division, and well, it speaks of several things, but including division and you know, the finding another man in me. And so I thought the beetroot, it was a particularly brilliant choice for, in a sense, a metaphor for the body. The beetroot, for those of us who grew beetroots growing up, beetroot seeds come in these little, I don't remember if they call them pods or, but sort of similar to a cardamom pod. There's multiple seeds in the beetroot seed packet or pod, and it's only a small number. I don't know, 3 or 4 or something like that. But when you grow them, there's a certain amount of division that you have to do. All of the seeds in the pod will often sprout, and so you'll get like 3 or 4 beetroot plants growing out of the pod, and you kind of have to separate them. And if you don't, what you end up with is getting multiple beetroots kind of growing together as a cluster, and afterwards you kind of have to do, as he says, you have to divide them, you cut them into individuals. And so I thought that just like my favorite part of this anyway was just the use of the beetroot as sort of the metaphor for the body, because it really does require a lot of division to grow them. So I felt like Ben understood growing beetroots really well. I also just love the imagery, because maybe drowning to his flight. You get the image of both sort of panic and escape, and also just, drowning, the idea of disappearance. This is just a strong write by Ben. So definitely,
absolutely,
bronze medal.
Absolutely, I have to agree. Great comment there, John. The other thing with beetroot, and that was interesting. I didn't actually know that because I'm not a huge gardener, so that was interesting to learn. But the other thing is the fact that they're like red and kind of remind you of a heart. Yeah. I think it works well on that kind of level too. It's really very much a multitasking metaphor for sure.
Yeah, they are like a deep red. It's very much blood.
Yes.
Kind of a purplish red too. It's like one of my favorite colors.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, good stuff for sure.
So you can make pasta dough you make regular pasta dough, but you mix in beetroot, liquefied beetroot, and you can turn it.
I've seen that before. I've seen that, like with the yeah. I think I saw a recipe before where somebody made like a fettuccine style noodle with, the beetroot juice. So, all right. And what do we got next, John?
All right. Next up comes to you, Pam, and it is Reflections by our very own listener, Monty G.
All right. Well, he has provided us with a SoundCloud.
That's right. He's got the SoundCloud. My bad.
Yes. And I will go ahead and go grab that and give it a play. All right.
This is me, made from the ground up. For any imperfections, I will take the blame. I was inspired by the bottom of my wine cup. Somewhat unique, there's nobody built the same. Sure are some rough edges that need a little work. Nobody's perfect, each of us contains a bit of a jerk. Some parts came from cues of those around me. Guess I should have looked harder at what I did see. The content is bland and maybe could do with a kick. The gearbox slips a tad and the motor don't always tick. Maybe too many hard miles have gone under my rubber, and many missed repairs that make me a bit of a grubber. At least the speedo dial is honest and never been adjusted. Yeah, every now and then the fuel system gets a little busted. That's okay, I book into the local mechanical repair shop. They focus on the ECU that's stored in the motor's top. A quick diagnosis, a new clutch and a brake shoe. Out I come and I feel good, like I was brand new. But too many hard miles have taken their toll, and now the mechanicals struggle to roll. That's what you get with a junky old car, with no maintenance so it don't go too far.
Maybe it's time to look for a scrapyard before the motor dies or it gets too hard. There's some things an oil change can't do.
Let's bring back to life what once was new.
Oh, I like that sound effect at the end. Great read and write, Monty. Thank you for the SoundCloud. It is very much appreciated. And just a reminder, everyone, if you're unable to call in, the next best thing is to make a recording of your poem, because then we get to hear your poetry in your voice or how you would like it to be heard. And he wrote to prompt 3, which is making is the mirror in which we see ourselves. Was that making? Is that a typo, or was that actually the quote? Because I seem to remember it being something else. Okay, it must.
I think it is, right?
Oh, it is. Making is the mirror in which we see ourselves. Okay, yeah. Well, that shows you how I did not remember that, and it just seems slightly off in its language. But yes, all right, that is the quote. Interesting. Very cool. All right. So what do you think of that poem there, John?
Oh, my guess is that Monty and I are men of a certain age, both, and so the old car metaphor here was, just rings true for me. So I really liked the metaphor, and Monty totally makes it his own here. I mean, I'm sure that old cars have been used as metaphors before in poetry. Nothing comes to mind, but Monty definitely gives it his own spin here. And at least the speedo dial is honest and never been adjusted. So a speedo is not a swimsuit here; it's a speedometer. So Monty brings in a little bit of his lovely Western Australian. Well, actually, speedo is Australian just in general. The Australians love to take words and abbreviate them, even if the abbreviation isn't actually less syllables. Speedo and speedometer, that's definitely speedo is easier and quicker to say, but many of them are actually more complicated to say when they try to make them simpler. But just as an aside, what we would call a speedo, the Australians call a budgie smuggler, and a budgie is a bird. And so a speedo, American speedo, becomes a bird smuggler in Australian. One of the first terms that I learned when I moved there. Anyway, so yeah, Monty does a really nice job with the metaphor. I also I love the rhyming here. It's really quite good. And I am also wondering if the lengths of the lines were chosen to, if you look at it sideways, it kind of looks like a car. Just wondering. So nice job, Monty. Great job.
Oh, absolutely. I have to agree. Monty is a wonderful rhyming poet, and he has such a clever way, as you were saying, John, of putting his own unique twist on things. And ironically, today, Monty was trying to sell used cars in swampland in LNP.
Yeah.
So, and then we read this poem tonight.
My guess is Monty's front yard has like 4 or 5 cars up blocks.
Oh my gosh, so true, so true. You just never know. I believe, if I remember right, he was also trying to sell snow to Eskimos, and
he's the LNP grifter.
Yeah, all over the place, that's for sure. But I really thought this was great. My dad was a mechanic. Well, like, he did different jobs, but that's was what he was really good at, was working with cars, working with his hands. And, I thought this had such strong lines, wonderful imagery and metaphors. I like how it speaks on seeing the truth of self, where strengths and weaknesses make the whole person. And the idea that just because someone, like a used car, just because someone's, slightly used, slightly damaged, doesn't mean you cast them aside. And, so it's just, absolutely, an amazing write. I like how he uses that Monty touch of humor to get his point across. So very well done. All right, and back to you.
I think next up is going to be Death Once Spoke from a Bath. Soaped Noise by Jim Bellamy. Death once spoke from a bath, soaped noise, deadened silence with washed rooms, a inside sleep, a gray spongy sea of gloom, wept across gray flannels, and a sullen power shower drops a towel. Night maintains midlife as a dizzy owl has hooted burns for a shampoo sex. I, faced under bridges, have a lock of messed, irrational rivers. Where a dog cries, we see the back of sex, swarming keen sugars, and a concrete sister sweats beneath death. Oh, suspended from a lion, sexy cat breath, pants forevermore. Oh, I feel all-powerful now. Oh, I see fall, all weaknesses, and a crowd. Clothes busy streets in loudness, and a bed of flare lights up red clouds. And, oh, I feel all-powerful now. God spoke once. Christ wrote once. Law, a bended shroud, sucks Jesus from dead Turin. And a pony walks aside, asses as cunts, lunch on holy lies. Oh, I feel all-powerful now. Oh, I see fall, all sadness, and a crowd, cuts of a street of wheat, and we dance aside a town made loud. Extensive, under iron, I heard the dead. End poem.
Great read there, John. Jim Bellamy is another one of those who has a unique style all his own. I feel like so oftentimes his poetry feels like a more organized stream of consciousness. It's interesting to me, all the biblical references and sexual references, the idea of spirituality and sexuality being mixed together. Like some of them I thought were like really obvious, like the reference to Christ. And but then I was thinking that when I saw where it said, oh, suspended from a line, sexy cat breath, pants forevermore, that made me actually think of Samson and how he broke the lion's jaws and then got honey from the carcass of the lion, and then his relationship with Delilah. I don't know if that's what Jim Bellamy meant by that line, but that's what came into my head. But he's got this clever wordplay, and I think part of what makes it feel so full of consciousness is he puts those extra like sounds, like oh, like it's almost as if while writing he has this revelation or something. To me, in part, this speaks on overcoming irrational fears to develop a sense of individual power that stands out from the crowd. So excellent write and very well done.
So Jim's Jim's profile says my poems are speed written, which I find hard to believe, you know, with a poem like this. It feels much more, as you say, much more controlled than a speed written poem. It's very well organized, and I liked the repetition with the "Oh, I feel all powerful now" stanza. So this is really gritty. The mixture of religious and sexual imagery is intentional, and gives it this kind of a little bit of a I don't even know how to describe that mixture. I like it. It's it gives it some kind of, let's say, instability maybe, and the use of the C word here. Jim went to Oxford in England, so my guess is that he's actually British, and it's used here as in the certain type of person form, and every time I've read this poem, when I've gotten to it, it took me aback, because they are aside asses, but I think that's meant to be sort of a disagreeable person lunching on holy lies. Let me define it that way, or describe it that way. I thought that was a strong line, but every time I read it, it kind of sticks out to me. Also something that I had to get used to when I moved to Australia. It took me quite some time. It means something different there. Yeah, so I really like the repetition of the "Oh, I feel all powerful now" stanzas. You know, repetition is used to accentuate. In this case, it's used to accentuate that feeling of power, and so I think he does a really good job of that. So yeah, I don't know. Let me see my yeah, it gives a little bit of a manic kind of a feel to it, but it also is there, I think, to accentuate it. So a lot of this also, it's written with this dreamlike kind of a quality, and so I wasn't really sure how to read it. Like, so I kind of read it in kind of a dreamlike fashion, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure that was what Jim intended. It could have maybe been read more manic like, but I kind of went with the dreamlike reading of it, because that was just how it read to me when I first read it. I really like this poem. So nicely done, Jim.
Absolutely. Great comment there, John. All right, what do we got next?
All right, up next, as I paste the link, this is "Even as Master, I Remain a Slave." And this one's yours, Pam.
All right. A slave am I, a slave am I, though many may see me as a master of the word. A slave am I, a slave am I, for I rise each day, I rise each day. I rise each day and pick up my pen, and as I pick up my pen, my heart begins to speak of things unknown to me, of forests, mountains, and rivers. And as my heart speaks out, I know once more, a slave am I. A slave am I, a slave am I, though a master of words, some may say, for a slave to my heart, and her whispers clear, is what I choose to be. For being a slave to my heart's whispers means I am free. For I stand here before you, the freest slave known to humankind. The reason I am free is that I am free. I am free to be me. End poem.
Mm.
And your thoughts, John?
Yeah, I like the I like the the use of prompt 6, even as master, of course, you remain its slave, and then turning it into the narrator sort of describing what a slave they are to writing or poetry, and so a slave am I, as a master of the word. So sort of a slave to writing. I like that really well. I like the use of the repetition. It's I think used here to to denote like every day I'm a slave. Like every day I get up and I'm a slave to writing, and so that damn it, I wish my family would go away for 2 hours a night. So I like the use of the repetition. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're tired of it. It just means, that this is what they do every day, over and over again. And so the use of the repetition is fantastic. I get up, I rise each day, and I pick up my pen. So nicely done metaphor, and nicely done use of repetition. To show, don't tell, this just incessant need to write. So really, really well done. What do you think, Pam?
Oh, absolutely. I have to agree. Wonderful comment there, John. Yeah, the repetition was something I noticed too. That was part of my written comment. The first part of my written comment was the use of repetition gives this poem a nice lyrical quality and drives the point home, as well as kind of bringing in the conclusion of the poem. Really wraps things up nicely because it shows that freedom can mean different things to different people. Also, what I found intriguing about this is how she went back and forth between a small I and a capital I. I felt like, even though she didn't say this, and I'm not sure what this is what she meant, but like I felt like it represented two different voices. Like the idea of the capital I and the small I being somebody who felt more significant and somebody who felt less significant, or something like that. But this is a poem that speaks very well on the idea that we are all servants to someone or something. You just basically, you choose your master. And I know that kind of sounds a bit ironic to say choose your master, but basically you choose what you follow, you choose what you believe, you choose what guides your life. But I like that her poem speaks on the idea of feeling free to be true to yourself. So excellent write by Teresa S., and very well done. And all right, back to you, John.
I didn't catch the eyes, but you're right. I'm thinking that maybe they're in
yeah, because they weren't consistent, and so that has me very curious about that. And
yeah. All right, up next, In the Woodwork, by W.P. McLeod, or Cloud 1. I crawled on narrow legs, bent in the wrong directions. Poison spray and insect traps tried to kill my quick darts for free access to the kitchen. A loaf of bread and spilled sugar on the wooden table tantalized my quivering antennae. The mistress of the house walked naked in black, high heels stomping my brethren underfoot. Fear drove my eyes to bulge like billiard balls on a lawn of green felt. White dust adhered to my feet as she flashed on the light. I scurried beneath the basement rafters, running from the scent of perfume and peppercorns in search of darkness and poem.
Great read there, John. Oh my goodness gracious. This has me thinking of cockroaches, which gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah.
But it also works really well as an extended metaphor, and a first person narrative. I like how it speaks in the voice of these bugs, these ants or cockroaches or whatever these heebie-jeebie things are that are in the household. And you can take it very literally, though I think you can also take it metaphorically in the idea, on the ants represent humanity that's downtrodden and living in fear, and the housewife being that kind of the higher power, whether it's a religious higher power or the government, whatever it is. It feels like there's almost this imbalanced relationship, this idea of constantly living in fear. But another thought that came to my mind, especially with the title, is in the word work, is that this can be, like the ants or the termites. Even I within the word work, I could think of termites, and the idea that they seem so small and they seem so insignificant, but that if you let a small problem keep growing, your home, your world is eventually going to fall apart around you. So excellent write, and very well done by W.P. McLeod one. And John, you did a great read of that. Your thoughts?
Yeah. So I really liked this poem, especially for the Frank Bedart contest, because it the cockroach, as you pointed out, or I think we all find cockroaches pretty kind of disgusting, and we all hate them when we get them, and when we turn on the light and we see them scurrying away from the light and back into darkness, we're all just wigged out, grossed out, by it. And so I think the use of a cockroach, they don't say cockroach, but I think it's implied from the light and dark imagery. So there's this really reviled, disgusting creature that is, the representing the person, the body, the is the persona of the poem. And yet, this cockroach is in a sense hunting, foraging for food. So it's the setting is the kitchen. There's flour and sugar on the board and so forth. And so it gives it that division between being reviled but also being human. And I thought that was just an absolutely perfect response to the prompt. And it's got a really a serious Bedart feel to it. So it was a really, really good response to the prompt. Is it prompt 6, I think, or to the to the division? Yeah, prompt 6. So the master and slave. So the cockroach as slave, in the sense of the mistress or whatever turning on the light, and the mistress, I guess, is it a mistress? Yeah, the mistress of the house being sort of the master, but yet the cockroach is also sort of a master of its own human-like life. It's portrayed as kind of a person here, and so it's also a master of its own life. The other thing that I just loved about this is this was really image heavy. Like every stanza is this really seriously is this really serious image, and so I loved the imagery of this. And even the end, you get this you get the image, the scent image. Damn it. Of perfume and peppercorns in search of darkness. It was just like one of the best images, I think, of the whole contest. So I loved the imagery in this as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great comment there. All right. And what do we got next?
All right. Well, next it comes to you, Pam, to read What Replaced It by T. Manzano.
All right. I would be happy to. Let me just get back to where I need to be. And here we go. I knew a stream once, the way you know something before you have words for it. Wide banks that collected sand into small, still corners. Water that couldn't decide whether to rest or move. Whitewash flickering into wind, breaking into drops that marked the slower water coming up to meet them. I can't smell it now, can't hear it. Nothing was planted in its place. Weeds just grew into the space it left. Things that learned to look like grass, to look like flowers. Whatever survives where water used to be. We passed it enough times to stop asking questions. That's how it works. Nobody decides anything. The replacement just stands there long enough to seem like it was always what was meant to be. And eventually we stop caring there was ever a path worth taking to find where it began. End poem. And your thoughts, John?
So why didn't I comment on this?
I don't know.
Oh.
You know what? That's because this wasn't actually in the contest.
Right.
He shared it on the topic board.
Gotcha.
Yes. And so I'm not even sure which poem he actually, not poem, but sorry, but which quote he actually wrote it to. I'm sure he said, because usually he does. He usually says when he posts, but I just didn't think to take note of that. That was so many weeks ago.
Do you think he wrote it for the contest?
You know what? I'm not really sure. Lots of times, well, sometimes Tim just shares rights. Okay. He says if needed for prompt 5, which the prompt 5 was what was that, John, in your contest?
Oh, now you're up.
Yeah, now I'm sending. I did my share.
Yeah,
I went and hunted up a topic board.
Oh, let me see. Prompt 5 was I don't have that. I don't have that.
It is. I tried. I made beautiful paintings, beautiful poems, fluff, garbage.
All right. Yeah. Write a poem in which beauty is not enough. Because when as you were reading it, I was thinking this would have been a really good addition to the Louise Gluck contest, because it's just so well controlled and so restrained. So that the metaphor here is really controlled. The lost stream, which I'm kind of reading as sort of a metaphor for self, or a metaphor for a person anyway. I knew a stream once, the way you know something before you have words for it. So there's this great metaphor of the stream as a person, and then kind of replacing that person, that stream, with weeds that just grew into the space that it left, I think is extremely strong control over this metaphor, with a really clear volta. And as always, I mean, Tim's writing is always just top shelf. So just beautifully written. But what struck me was just the restraint and the control of this poem. Or this would have been a medal contender if it had been submitted to the contest. It's really great. And so you also get that division that art was known for, You know, the stream versus the weeds, I think, is the strong is the representation of that division of self or of the persona. Really, really nicely done, Tim. This is stunning.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I have to agree. Great comment there, John. Yeah, Tim is a very talented poet. I always appreciate when he shares rights with us. And a great consistency in tone, amazing imagery and metaphors. The imagery of this actually makes me think of like when I used to live many years ago in Austin, Texas, and it wasn't in the city, but we gone outside the city, and there was like what appeared to be a dry riverbed.
Mm-hmm.
And I jumped into it, because I just felt like, I don't know why. We were walking and I thought, why not jump into the dry riverbed? And I jumped right into a nest of fire ants.
Oh.
Oh my goodness gracious. Those are the nastiest little critters as far as bites go. Well, I'm sure you probably know that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Oh my goodness. But yeah, that had amazing imagery and metaphors. It was strong. It was heartfelt. I like how it speaks on the idea of something beautiful disappearing until only faded memories remain. And I like that it can be about nature. It can be about, whether it happens for natural reasons or because choices humanity makes destroys nature, or it can even be the idea that the river represents parts of our lives and people in our lives who we once shared something beautiful with, and then it just completely disappears, and then we're left with just that idea of the faded memories of what used to be. So just a wonderful write by T. Manzano, and very well done. Okay, so that was the last of our rights inspired by Frank Beidert. So thank you so much, John, for running that contest. That got some great responses.
Yeah.
And yes, for sure. For sure. And so now we are going to go into poetry inspired by Anton Chekhov. And I'm sure most people know who Anton Chekhov is, but just a little information on the small chance there's someone who doesn't. He was a writer, a physician, and a philanthropist. He was born January 29th, 1860 in Taganrog, Russia. He died at the young age of 44 on July 15th, 1904 in Baden-Weiler, Germany. His genres included plays, novellas, short stories, comedy, feuilleton, opinion, journalism, traveology, and diary correspondences. The literary movement he is most connected with is realism. His notable works include The Seagull and Three Sisters, and a notable award was the Pushkin Prize. And so he came from a rather large family with quite a bit of brothers and sisters, and even later generations of family that were famous in one way or another. His let's see here. He was the third of 6 surviving children. He was the son of a former serf and his wife, and they were from the village of Okatava, and ran a grocery store. He was also the director of parish choir and a devout Orthodox Christian. So his father, and actually I had read this, His father, formerly being a serf, which is basically a slave, a servant, lower class, that actually played into a lot of Chekhov's writing. It made, because he was like the first generation from being that low down in the chain, that it really had an impact on his story writing, his plays. It was a culture. There's a lot of, like, you'll notice with a lot of his quotes, it leans itself towards the idea of commenting on society. So really a fascinating character, truly a man of diversity in talent. And so he also did some somewhat, I think, what I would consider, I don't know if humor is the right word, but there was definitely some stuff that I haven't read him in completion, but I read about him, and I read a lot of his quotes to see that kind of a bite in humor that seems to come across in his personality, especially when it comes to taking quips at the upper class in society. Now, John, would you like to share any information on Anton Chekhov?
Well, you haven't read Chekhov in his entirety, and nor could you probably. I mean, he was just an absolutely prolific writer. He died
Oh,
young.
yes.
But I mean, he was a doctor by profession, but you could, his love was, clearly writing. He just, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of works. I mean, he died at like 44, right?
Yes.
But yeah, just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of works. It would take forever. I mean, like, to read him. I guess, so two things. He died of tuberculosis, and we kind of don't think much of tuberculosis these days, but at that time, 125 years ago,
it was more common, for sure. I read one of his brothers, at least one of his brothers, also died of tuberculosis.
Yeah, it was really common. And my grandfather's first wife developed tuberculosis, and had to be, in those days, they were often kind of quarantined or whatever into, centers. So, and I think they kind of reused, what did they call them? Like asylums, because they had to be quarantined. And so they had to find facilities. And, that was about 100 years ago. And I mean, it was a big thing then. It's less so now, at least, in countries like the US, but it's still a thing elsewhere. So I guess the other thing I would say is my first exposure to Chekhov was Uncle Vanya, which is a play. And it was in high school when we started studying, playwrights or plays. And I just remember Uncle Vanya was just like, was like a play where nothing happens. I mean, where very, very, very little happens. There's just all of these characters that don't really say or do much. And that was where I learned that you could easily show without telling. And so it's this brilliant play where, nobody really does much, but it's kind of a story about, a wasted life. And so, I gave my life to the wrong thing. And there's sort of these sort of love triangles. I mean, various characters loving other various characters, and, nobody comes out happy or satisfied. It's a brilliant play, and it, I thought it showed his power as a writer to write a play about a bunch of characters who really don't do anything, um, and there's literally no drama at all in the entire play. It's just it's so boring to read, and that you quickly kind of fall in love with the boringness. And that was the first time I realized also that you can write in a really restrained manner and yet still say so much. He was such a powerful writer. So this is a great contest, Pam.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Great information shared there, John. Phil the poet, who's listening on YouTube, says his favorite Chekhov writing is War Number 6. Well, he says 9, but I think he might mean 6. Either that or because I'm sorry, I looked it up and I could not find a War Number 9, but I did find War Number 6. But either way, I like that Phil shared that thought there. I will say that I think I'm going to have to actually. There we go, 6. Okay. I wasn't sure. Oh my gosh, but yeah, thank you, Phil, for sharing that with us. I I like that. I think what I'm at least going to have to do is I'm going to have to listen, at least if not read, because I do tend to I used to be a huge reader, and then like my eyes just got too tired with age, and so I find myself still interested in literature, but listening a lot more. You know.
Do you do audiobooks or like Audible or whatever?
I don't have it, like usually I either what I've done before is I've just looked things up on YouTube to find what's free, or I like to listen to a lot of Edwardian and Victorian stories, especially in the detective mystery story and ghost story genres. So I find those on YouTube. Plus, our library has audiobooks.
Right.
And I have a convertible, not convertible, like a CD player that like basically looks like a laptop, but it's specifically made just for watching movies or listening to audios. And so I use it for that. And I'll have my headphones on and I'll either listen to music or listen to audiobooks, but I haven't ever signed up for any like something that you have to pay for on a monthly basis. Yeah. Do you listen to do you use Audible or anything like that?
My son and I share an Audible account because he was doing a lot, especially during the first year of COVID when he was basically living in a hotel. And because he got kicked out of his apartment in the middle of COVID, and it was just miserable finding a new apartment. So he was living in a hotel and he got really bored, and he's not that much of a reader, but he started, reading by listening to audiobooks on Audible. And he's like, Dad, will you pay for me to have an Audible account? And I was like, sure. And then, like every now and then I would log in and I would see that, we've got lots of credits. And so I started using it. And I don't do it a lot because I enjoy reading more than audiobooks, but I started also listening to podcasts. And so I started kind of getting into the audiobooks because I was listening to podcasts, and they're sort of similar to me anyway. So yes, in fact, I've done a number. In fact, I even recently did listened to a cooking book on ratios, and found it really kind of interesting having it on while I was, cooking and so forth. So yeah, I do some, but I really do love to read. So
I understand that. I totally get that. But yeah, but that
Difficult.
sounds like a good investment, for people who don't want to listen to something but don't like to necessarily read. Um,
Yeah. Yeah,
so
yeah. Especially, I was like, hell, if my son wants to read by listening to an audiobook, fine, great. Anything to, get him interested or, get him reading more, even if it's listening instead of reading. So he started reading a lot of World War II history books as well, and on Audible. And so that gave us a, kind of another common interest area where we could, really talk about these different books that I had read and he had listened to. So that was fun as well.
oh, absolutely. Ooh, and I see that Gray wants to join us, so I'm going to go ahead and pick
Yay.
him up. How wonderful it'll be to have his voice. Hello, Gray. Welcome to the show. Glad you could join us.
Hi, Pam. Hey, John.
Hey, Gray.
How's it going?
How you guys? It's going well, thanks. And hey, having a
Very
good show so
good.
far?
Yeah, all right. Well, we are just gonna get started delving into some poetry inspired by Anton Chekhov. Um, and all right, John, what do we have up next?
Well, since we have Gray here, how would you like to read first, Gray?
Absolutely, yep, you bet.
All right. So next up, or first up in the Chekhov contest or segment is Where Tears Go to Die by Shadow's Night.
This has a recording,
Oh,
John.
sorry.
Like
Sorry.
right above every poem that
Yeah.
has a SoundCloud or recording, it's either gonna say SoundCloud or it's gonna say recording.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we'll have to put Gray to work on another one. So
Okay. Sorry, I forgot. It's even at the top of the damn poem.
All good, no worries.
yeah. No worries, no worries. But yes, he was nice enough to provide us with a SoundCloud. So I'm gonna go ahead and go grab that.
No tears are ever shed in vain. Hate and anger ripen into the fruits of pain. Dark nectar feeding vines that choke the brain. Let the crystal rain absorb these scars and pains. Walk with me through all that still remains. Why sail crawling, forsaken in a pinch? Emaciated, running in the reeking ditch. Electric spark. shed for the ill-spoken matters, mere corporate lies in tablets and sweetened chatters. A rabbit hole is waiting for the well-spoken tatters, mere rodents of old habits and twisted mad hatters. No spine ever breaks from falling off the ledge of glass skyscrapers and hell-bent ladders. When trapped in ivory towers by sanity's edge, feigning smiles for satyrs and blackjackers. Above the murk I see lumber, shamed in mud, bloated ancients leech the fire from your blood. A swarm of voices drowns your thunder into thud, and paper cuts kisses your hands into scarlet blood. Why do you still stand motionless on the frozen carousel? Do you feel your own skin, emotionless under this woven spell? A hell of rebels is to walk, lost amidst long dead and woeful crowds. One of many pebbles of chalk, painting letters on bed of hopeful clouds. Never truly asleep, nor ever awake, wandering aimless in this open cell, more free from your broken shell. Breathe your final farewell. And claim your own hell. No tears fall for the grief we feign, for toy soldiers and their counterfeit motifs, lives squandered in the service of thieves, a sacred calling of all James and Steve. Blind to all truth, gaping jaws of disbelief, glassed within to might of a coral reef.
Oh,
Oh, geez. Oh, geez. Forgot. Sorry, I was talking. I forgot to mute myself. Okay, so I apologize, everyone. Apparently, I was just informed, and I do apologize for this. I was accidentally playing the 20-minute version of this song rather than the 7-minute one that had been sent to me that I completely forgot about. So, I completely apologize for that. I will be honest though. I will be honest. I was so caught up. That music is just so my style of music. I was caught up in it. I probably would have listened to the whole 20 minutes. And so thank you so much. Thank you so much, Shadows Night, for letting me know that. I do truly apologize, and I unfortunately am not. I'm not going to be able to go back and get that 7-minute version and play it. So I kind of hope that people were able to read along to your amazing poem and kind of just get the general idea of the music. And I would also say, if you have a link you can provide, the Suno link for the 7-minute version, you might want to attach that so people can listen to it. But oh my goodness gracious. Oh, it's the same. It's the same until it cut off. Okay, got it. Got it. So, all right. Well, good to know. Good to know. Oh my goodness gracious. Well, first of all, that was an amazing choice of music, and thank you so much for the SoundCloud. That's like, I don't know, that's almost like the stairway to heaven of heavy metal.
yeah.
You know, but yeah, that's absolutely an amazing write. And Grace, so what do you think of this?
You're on mute.
There I am. Okay. Yeah, I thought that was deep, dark, and delicious. The SoundCloud was great. Um, the recording of the song was quite epic. Um, you know, we all struggle with the good and bad in us, the demons and the angels, one perched on each shoulder, and we have to navigate through life with these things. Um, at the base of our soul. Uh, so it's a very thought provoking, right? Very deep, powerful poem for sure. Well done.
Oh, absolutely. Deep, dark, and powerful. Great words to describe this poem. Great comment, Gray. And John, your thoughts.
Yeah, so in the AN, he notes that it responds to multiple prompts, which I think is very clear. I don't. Yeah, there were too many prompts for me to keep them in my head, but one of them was something about it being easier to ask of the poor than the rich, and And then there was another about the dog and meat. And I think those are two of the prompts, because this has a lot of, so this is an extremely image heavy poem. And first and foremost, I think the sound cloud, the Suno, the heavy metal music was a perfect choice for just how full on the poem is in its social and class commentary, which is dark, bleak, and but also in the beginning seems to be talking about that first stanza. I get the sense of talking maybe about an ex or something, but maybe not. But the beginning anyway seems to be making a commentary just on human nature and humans in general. So this is a really heavy, image-rich commentary on things like class and so forth. And the one that I really thought was like really strong is for what so rich old farts may gorge on blueberry tart, velvet pockets lined with your still warm body parts, dead heroes in meat bags, undead veterans on welfare carts, cheering speeches and lies from blue-blooded arts, milking sympathy from politicians' stone hearts. I thought that was an extremely strong stanza, and I think it captures a lot of what Shadow's Night is doing overall in the poem. Really dark and really full on and very image rich. I mean, the imagery here is just full on. The only non-Chekhov kind of aspect to it, Chekhov was very restrained, and this is the opposite of that restraint, which makes it a perfect poem to set to heavy metal. It really, this is a full-throated annihilation of things like class, society, and humanity. And so I think that the writing of this is perfectly set to heavy metal. I mean, absolutely fantastic choice of metal for this poem. Really nicely done.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great comment, John. Yeah, I have to agree. I really have to agree that the heavy metal is a perfect choice. This is actually how this connected really well with Chekhov, and like you were saying, kind of, John, the idea of the social commentary and the darkness. In fact, I can't remember who said this quote, and I know I'm partly paraphrasing, but there's this quote about how Russian authors are really good about writing about depressive subjects. Like, if there's a subject that will depress you, it's been written about by a Russian author. So
23 times by 23 different Russian authors. Yes.
Exactly. And that's what this poem made me think of, is that and when you live in a land like that, I mean, it is a land made of hardy people, and but yeah, this has a darkness to it that really drives the point home. It takes a look, to me, at a world that is falling apart, a society that is falling apart, not only because of the destruction of war, because of greed, and that's oftentimes why war comes about, is because of greed. I think there's really hard-hitting lines throughout. I especially like, though, for what? So rich old farts may gorge on blueberry tarts, velvet pockets lined with your still warm body parts, dead heroes in meat bags, undead veterans on welfare carts, cheering speeches and lies from blue-blooded arts, milk and symphony from politicians' stone hearts. I mean, amen to that. There's just not enough of thank you for your service that is genuine. Like a thank you that comes also with reaching out a helping hand any way that you can, showing an amount of respect. You know, I mean, we are a society facing a lot of darkness, and that darkness just needs to be called out. So excellent write by Shadow's Night, and very well done. And back to you, John.
All right. Well, I think up next is To Tea or Not to Tea by Way Down Upon Joy. So how about a female voice for that, Pam?
That sounds good to me. Let me just get it posted on YouTube, and then I will give that a read. All right. To tea or not to tea? That is the question. Is it bold of mind to buffer the stings of indecision, or to think your driver might suffer the hit of imprecision? Is revision of thought a blunder? When should I questions your mind? Par threes now will work on that wonder when teams not freely defined. Is the tea obsolete for a fiver, or are irons just pressing the point? Expertise seems to think that a driver when higher might serve counterpoint. Is it right to be wrong with the answer? When should I or not tests your will? Or is it best just to be a freelancer and innately abort overkill? So let's see. It looks like she was inspired by two different prompts, because she has attached to her poem the quote, strange indecision, but also she put in the prompt, the task of a writer is not to solve the problem, but to state the problem correctly. And John, your thoughts?
Well, so first and foremost, I love the Shakespeare parody here. It really, the title alone already suggests that this is going to be, a parody of Hamlet. I like the in Hamlet, it is like this existential, to be or not to be question. But here it's sort of the opposite of an existential question of, whether to use a tea or, I don't know, maybe a driver or whatever, or a fiver, or an iron. So I like even the parody around, the narrative arc. It just takes this existential Shakespeare, existentially Shakespeare, to be or not to be, and turns it into this almost, like trivial kind of a question. And, I'm not a golfer, and I don't really appreciate golf that much. So I don't mean to be disparaging, the heaviness of the question of whether to use a driver or an iron. I'm really not trying to disparage golf, but it is kind of a very lightweight question compared to Shakespeare. So I love that about this. It's just this brilliant parody. I think this punches way above its weight. Really well done, and I like the rhyme, as always. Way Down Upon Joy does really nice rhyming poems. So.
Oh yes, absolutely. She's a fabulous rhyming poet for sure. I also am not a golf player, but I have played it before, but not seriously. And only because our local golf course actually has a free family day where you get like free golfing lessons, and they serve a buffet style lunch. And so me and my kids and my mom and my stepfather would go to that. And my stepfather, oh my goodness, he is huge into golf. He will talk to you. He is a talker, and he will talk your ear off about golf, God, and overpriced gas. So, but that's all right. That's a but I really liked this. What I liked is not only the rhyme and flow, but how she takes and gives that twist at the end.
Yeah.
To me, that ending gives it more of a depth, and it looks at the idea of, to me, of, is it possible to overthink things? Like, am I making this problem bigger than it actually is? So I thought this was great lines throughout, but I feel like this is that kind of poem where, like, the first three lines like set the stage, or are the setup, and then the last one is just that zinger that comes in and shows you there's so much more to think about. But then that gets you to, once again, the irony of overthinking a poem that may actually be about the pitfalls of overthinking. So excellent write, and very well done by Way Down Upon Joy. All right, what do we got next, John?
All right. Next up, how about we come to Gray with Days and Nights by Ed Hunter.
Oh, Gray unfortunately had to go.
Oh, well then
I know. Look at that. Bummer.
I will read Days and Nights by Ed Hunter, and this is in response to the prompt, "Love is a scandal of the personal sort," which I really liked. So I can now see myself, after all these days and nights, trying to understand my dilemma. The changes in my blood were like rosebuds ready to bloom, an electrifying warmth set out to please. I remember her well, blonde hair, milky white skin, and her eyes sparkled like the first drop of dew on a blade of grass, reflecting from the morning sun. I was shy, timid, and terrified, and yet she was alive in my heart. As a young man, I lacked self-esteem. Hell, I was only 17. I wondered if she ever looked at me. See, I sat in the front of class, and every day she would pass my desk. A puppy love that never existed, only visions beyond fantasy. Years have gone by, and life moved forward. Then one day, life stood still. It happened. We connected. Was it fate or destiny? On both sides, this was a path opened for obsession. We met on a warm spring day. I held her hand. She was shaking. She was gorgeous. We danced while sharing our lips. Her taste and smell were magical. A sweet vanilla topped with a creamy salted caramel. We were in ecstasy. After a glass of wine or two, we made love. This was passion beyond comprehension. Only she and I will understand the truth, a truth that will last forever. End poem.
Great read there, John. And Ed wrote to the quote, "Love is a scandal of the personal sort." Well, he doesn't exactly say it. Some
Right.
of the ideas, some of the thoughts shared here have me thinking of the idea of like a Mrs. Robinson type relationship, like perhaps a crush on a teacher. I don't know. There's just something about, especially those first few stanzas, that have me thinking of a young man and a beautiful, sexy teacher, and what it's like to have that kind of crush, that kind of obsession. But then I'm not so sure come the end. Not that it isn't possible to to hook up with a teacher once you're both of age, but it just, I don't know. I guess maybe it's just because, and I'm sure this is what happened, it just feels as if, because he mentions his age specifically, because he mentions the idea of fantasy and her walking, him sitting in the front of the class and her walking by his desk, it feels that would make sense that is the teacher. And then it's like at the end, there's more of this idea of this equality in an adult relationship where they're both feeling this sense of confidence, this sense of love or desire. Maybe not love, but definitely desire. I really like the imagery and the phrasing of "we danced while sharing our lips, her taste and smell were magical, a sweet vanilla topped with creamy salted caramel. We were in ecstasy." I also like the question asked, was it fate or destiny on both sides? This was a path opened for obsession. It's interesting. It's interesting how the idea of thinking about if you ran into the person you had a crush on when you were only 17, how would things be different? How would they be the same? Like, I like that this is a kind of a romanticism, right? But it also offers of some food for thought. And your thoughts, John?
Yeah. So I got the sense that maybe this was a teacher as well.
Okay.
But I mean, there's nothing explicit here about it being a teacher, except,
Right.
the prompt has scandal in it. And, I can't really imagine I don't see any explicit scandal in the prompt.
Yes, exactly.
So I really wonder if, it's a teacher just because, love is a scandal of the personal sort. And because, as you say, he points out his age. You can sort of read that as sort of explaining why he lacked self-esteem. But I get the sense that this was a teacher, and because otherwise I don't see any scandal here at all. What
Right.
threw me, yeah. What threw me is he said, "See, I sat in the front of class, and every day she would pass my desk." And so initially I was thinking this was couldn't be a teacher. It was a student who sat behind him in class. In my high school, the teachers' desks were always at the front of the classroom, but it occurred to me that there are actually a lot of classrooms where the teacher sits in back. And then, so I get the sense that maybe this was a teacher. There's also this, just the beautiful writing. As you say, it's a very romantic piece, and it's almost like it's this romantic fantasy that, yeah, you could have it maybe for a fellow student your own age, but it just strikes me as written in that romantic fantasy style that just makes it seem like this is a high school student who's, fallen in love with his teacher. So it's really, really well done. And if that's what was intended, it's very subtle and therefore very Chekhov, I would say, in its restraint. Beautifully
done. Absolutely. Absolutely. I am curious to hear what Ed has to say, to see if he'll be able to tell us if it was intended to be the idea of a crush on a teacher. So great comment, John. All right. What do we got next?
All right. Up next, I believe it is back to you, right? Did you read that or did I read that?
Well, wait a minute. Let me think. You read it. Yeah, you read it.
Yeah. So, all right. Up next, then, coming to you is Without Opinions by Phil the Poet.
All right. And Phil was nice enough to supply us with a recording. So I'm going to go Yes,
Sorry.
yes.
So what I
Very nice.
do is,
We actually got a few recordings for this show. Between this show and the next one, I think I had a total of like 13 recordings. So
oh my goodness. All right.
we were doing good. But anyways, here is Phil's poem.
This is a poem by Phil the Poet called Without Opinions. How awful it is to have no opinions. What a dull life you must lead. Afraid to stand up in what you believe in. Afraid friends will call you opinionated. Questioning whether to speak your mind or to keep silent, to let sleeping dogs lie. Not willing to take a chance to speak out. A yes person, ready to lick the boots of your betters. Without opinions, where do you stand? You're unstable like the waves of the sea, agreeing with everyone who sells you a line. Stand upon your own 2 feet for once. You're afraid to be criticized for your belief, but there will be a time when you will draw the line. The pressure is too much. You will have to tell what opinions lie within your own soul. For everyone has opinions on about everything, whether it's about a country's stance on war or the stability of its economic outlook. Without opinions, we have nothing to talk about. End poem.
Wonderful read and write there, Phil. Thank you for the recording. It is so very much appreciated. And what an amazing write. What are your thoughts, John?
The prompt here, as he notes in the author's note, is, and how awful it is not to have any opinions. And this is a very direct response to that prompt. Quoting the prompt basically in the first line. He goes through a number of ways that it is awful to have no opinions, a dull life, afraid to stand up for what you believe in. He compares the unopinionated with bootlickers, etc. But he also makes it sort of a moral failing as well. The last stanza, for everyone has opinions on about everything, whether it's about a country's stance on war or the stability of its economic outlook. Even brings in social and moral implications of being somebody without opinions. And it also equates it to, having no opinions is the same thing as having no beliefs. So the penultimate stanza kind of brings that out. So I thought this was a really solid and very direct response to the prompt, and does a really nice exploration of just how awful it is to not have any opinions. And I've run into people in my own life who are just have very little opinion about anything, and I find them very frustrating to talk to. So that last line, without opinions we have nothing to talk about, rings true for me very definitely. So a nice write, Phil.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because a lot of it is the fact that when it comes to certain subjects, we're so afraid to talk to each other. And I get there are certain settings where you want to play it safe. There's things you want to avoid because you want to keep the peace. But at the same time, when it comes to having conversations between friends, and, you should be able to state your thoughts, your opinions, but great comment there, John. And I think Phil, first of all, has a wonderful reading voice. I thought this had very thoughtful lines. I like how it takes a look at the importance of being true to yourself, the importance of speaking up and sharing your thoughts. It actually had me thinking, and I'm, like I said, my memory is always really bad at exacts, but there's a part in the Bible, and I believe it's in one of the epistles, where it talks about God spitting you out because you're lukewarm. Basically, you're not hot, you're not cold, you are just like, and it's that idea that if you don't believe in something, if you don't stand up for something, if you don't speak up for yourself, for your loved ones, for the rights and wrongs in this world, if you just remain completely bland and hold back in your opinions and bow down to those that you let control you, that's what a lot of this poem is saying to me, is this, don't let yourself be controlled. Form your own opinion, speak up for yourself, and let that be your guide. But I thought this had strong lines throughout and was definitely very well done by Phil the Poet. Not going to be an easy contest to judge, for sure.
Right.
All
All right.
right.
I will check, but I am pretty sure the next one does not have a sound cloud and needs a reader. So this is Funny Dinosaur by Time Teller. And now it's your turn, Pam.
Yes, absolutely. And I'll be happy to give this a read. Let me just post it on YouTube. And there we go. I just love that title.
Yeah.
All right. Funny Dinosaur by Time Teller. Umbrellas up, the rain is beating, our brains gurgling drain via our ears. No bird can be heard. Song is a scarcity, tunefulness a lost art beneath heavy clouds. There she goes, tipping and toeing, a little dinosaur between the ornamentals, looking for snails. Crack and smack, knock, 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 supper is served in the deluge of large drops. She loves this garden, even in downpours, hopping and skipping, flitting and darting through flowering boughs. She loves the darkness of cover, viburnums, magnolias, choiceas, and cornus shrubs provide, and her nest sits beneath the stars, night after night, resting in her laurels. It's more hers than mine, this garden. End poem. And that is such a clever twist on the prompt, which was she had a passionate longing for the garden, the darkness, the pure sky, the stars. And your thoughts, John?
Yeah, I thought this is really beautiful, and it's fun. And I think the dinosaur misspelling is intentional, and gives it a little bit of a, maybe like a, I don't know, almost maybe like a child's like spelling of dinosaur, maybe, that tries to give it some youth in the dinosaur. But there's two people in the poem. It's so it's not just the she, right? It says umbrellas up, the rain is beating our brains. And so to me, the garden here is, in a sense, this shared home. Where's the so looking for snails, so that sense of snails being maybe representative of cooking and eating, and the ornamentals, and the knock knock knock, like someone knocking on a door, supper is served. So the garden here to me is home, and things like the ornamentals and all of the flowers, are maybe decorations around the home. So to me, it gives me just this really warm, atmospheric sense of the garden being home, and her nest sits beneath the stars. So so she's in a sense sleeping, beneath the stars in this garden home. I just thought it's beautifully written and very, very subtle to me, and very atmospheric. So the subtle restraint here, I think, is definitely Chekhov like. It's gorgeous.
It really is. It really is. Absolutely. Great comment, John. Yeah, I love the way he leaves it open to interpretation. I will say there are parts of this that have me thinking of a little bird because of the idea that birds are related to dinosaurs, you know.
Yeah.
And then it brings in the nest and the hopping and skipping. Like I think of a robin doing the hop hopping that it does. So
Yeah.
Although he does say no bird can be heard, so that has me thinking. But still, either way, I think this is very clever. The other thing I thought about is maybe it's a lizard. Either way, this is something that stays, something or someone that stays outside at night. I love the imagery in this. I love the sounds, crack and smack, knock, knock, knock. Supper is served in the deluge of large drops. That actually kind of has me thinking of like the knock, knock, knock of a woodpecker. But I love how he brings in the imagery of the different flowers and how he takes this and makes it so it could be about another person for sure, especially with umbrellas up, the rain is beating our brains, gurgling drain via our ears. Like it feels like it could be another person, and yet there's other things that hint at the idea that this isn't a person. And so he leaves it up to, I think, the idea of what do you get out of it, and then also I like that this is about that garden, not only the garden itself, but the time spent in the garden that is shared. So excellent write by Time Teller and very well done.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about it's not a dinosaur, it's a little dinosaur. So a bird. Birds are descended from dinosaurs. So yeah, you're totally right. The dinosaur is really a bird.
Yes, though a kid would work, because I tell you, out of my 4 kids, I think I had at least 3 of them that at one point in their life pretended to be a dinosaur. So
well, my daughter's name is Robin, so we have a bird in our family. So
that is such a beautiful name. All right, what do we got next, John?
All right, let me make sure we don't have a sound cloud, because I'm tired of screwing that up. Okay, up next is a SoundCloud by Eric Svensson. The poem is called Before Duality's Last Curtain Call.
All right. I'll just, as soon as I see it, I'll copy it.
Oh, yeah, I got to paste it.
Yeah.
I was so busy looking it up, I forgot to paste it. All right, it's posted. All
right, and I'll just grab that and I will put it into YouTube, and oh my goodness gracious. So, yep. All right, so it's Before Duality's Last Curtain Call by Eric Svensson, and he was nice enough to supply us with a SoundCloud. So here we go.
Before duality's last curtain call, why wait in the wings, shy away from the limelight? Center stage in the spotlight is where we're meant to be. Though the theater audience is vast blackness, Beyond stage footlights, no life is visible. Maybe only the front row patrons. Each day, get out there on life's stage. Each of us a part to play, villain or victim, protagonist or antagonist, saint, sinner, or sanguine sage. Dive into life's impermanence. We're all here for a spell. Indulge the senses. Be fully present before that vast blackness. The unsung hero, the celebrated starlet, rags to riches or vice versa. Fiddlers on temporal roofs, 70 years, maybe more, perhaps less. Your hovering in the wings may just upset the apple cart. You being the vital chain link that would bring cohesion to impermanence. Yes, indeed it takes great courage to get out there. Center stage with the dazzling light of day, or obsidian midnight's darkness envelops sense of purpose, reason challenged because you know it's only a play, a part of sorts, comedy, dramedy, or tragedy, with gusto and verve play your chosen part. Butcher, baker, or nightmare maker, it's the impermanence that gets to you, isn't it? Especially if we love madly, deeply, even insanely. The last curtain call. Don't even think of mentioning that fateful last curtain call. Break a leg is more like it. The vast bleak blackness of the audience beyond the footlights, faintest gasp, excited gushes, rave review versus insidious criticism, cut out of the same cloth, we all actors and actresses on live stage. Moth to candle flames be drawn out from the wings, all but our ageless spirit remains unscathed. Think of remote viewing. Quietly your spirit waits in the wings, observes without any judgment each day's play acting. Some speak of the oversoul, that part of us that travels on as the last curtain call falls. Center stage, in the spotlight, our life play acting script laid to rest. Adieu, happy fields where joy forever dwelt, or farewell, hail horrors of an infernal villainous play acting life. As the silver cord snaps, a twang resounds through the vast blackness. Step up, step out, madly, deeply, steeply, is the only way to play your role. Tarry not too long in the wings, you being the vital chain link that will bring cohesion to impermanence. Yes, indeed it takes great courage to get out there. End poem.
Great read and write here, Eric. Thank you for the SoundCloud. It is very much appreciated. And Eric wrote to the quote, "In all the universe, nothing remains permanent and unchanged but the spirit." And John, your thoughts?
Well, my first thought is that that this is very, very Chekhov, and I know that what it reminded me of is a different quote. The life has gone by as if I never lived, which is from a play, a Chekhov play called The Cherry Orchard, but is very representative of a common theme among Chekhov's writing and particularly plays. So it's very, very much in line with Uncle Vanya, where he's writing about, the regret of not having lived. And so this is, but this is a very direct kind of a call to action. So this is saying it outright, using a theater as a, the running theme, the metaphor, the waiting in the wings, stepping into the spotlight, and so forth. So it also is very much hat tipping to Chekhov's playwriting. And so to me, this is as strong a response to life has gone by as if I never lived, but as it is to in all the universe, nothing remains permanent and unchanged but the spirit. So I think this actually hits a number of prompts really well, because it just echoes Chekhov's, one of Chekhov's common themes. So it's just like always, Eric is just such a brilliant writer, and listening to him read it himself is always just such a joy. He's just got so much gravitas in his voice. So and I think that makes this an even stronger kind of call to action. So I really loved this. This is very Chekhov in sort of the narrative arc, and also in the metaphor, the theater metaphor, which I really liked. So yeah, really, really well done, Eric. It's just a pleasure to listen to you read this.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I have to agree. I have to agree. Wonderful comment there, John. Yeah, this is just brilliant imagery and metaphor. I did like the consistency and tone that came across, as you were saying, John, with the constant references to the stage, to plays. I like how this speaks on the idea of playing your part with enthusiasm. Find your way to where you're supposed to be. It feels like living life to the fullest, being true to yourself in the fullest. This is, to me, not only a nod to Chekhov's writing, but a celebration of the human spirit. And I really like protagonist or antagonist, saint, sinner, or sanguine sage, dive into life's impermanence. We're all here for a spell. Indulge the senses, be fully present before that vast blackness. The unsung hero, the celebrated starlet, rags to riches, or vice versa. They're just meant to be a variety of people in this life to make it more interesting. Excellent write and very well done. And great show tonight, John. Thank you, as always, for being an amazing co-host. Now, I knew we were going to have carryovers. When you have 28 rights on a board, there's just no way you're not going to have carryover. So I will let you and everyone else know that because we have 16 carryovers, I have no plan for either of us to run a contest.
Yep.
For the next show, because I think what we'll do is we'll say that if people want to, they can share a write that is either inspired by Chekhov or a favorite author or poet, and we'll get to it if we can. But right. I think those 16 rights will probably cover a show.
Yeah, I agree. So, we don't need to run a contest for the next in our craft or Sullen.
Yes. We'll save a contest for when we can focus pretty much fully on that contest. But, thank you to Gray Eyes for calling in. Thank you to Robbie and Monty and Vizago. And anyone else who hung on board, thank you to Phil the Poet and Shadows Night and anyone else who is listening on YouTube. Thank you to everyone who's listening now or will be listening later. We truly appreciate you all. We appreciate everyone who writes for our shows. In about 25 minutes, you can join myself and Intimitus Rex for Echoes in the Dark. And please make sure to keep an eye out on the contests and topic boards put up by Late Night Poets, hosts and hostesses, because you're sure to find something to inspire. Have a good night, everyone. And
Good
have
night,
a good
everyone.
night, John.
You too, Pam.